Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 72. Blue, how are you doing?
I am very good today, Mike. Very well indeed.
All right, just a tiny delay in the audio. Hopefully, we'll make that up here in a bit here. What are we going to talk about today on the show?
Okay. One of the things discussed about is the Bohr-Einstein debate, quantum mechanics, the quantum revolution in the 1920s, how that accelerated, and how they had dealt with quantum mechanics and the different forms of that. But they had debates against each other concerning things. But in the end, these two individuals have cooperated in maintaining uh, a lot of sciences that deal with the dimensions, the quantum dimensions, evaluated terms of what goes on in space, around space, inner domains, outer domains, and the genius work that they put upon, even with mathematics too, and the sciences that go beyond that.
Sounds like we got an exciting show today. Hey, before we get started here, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. If you would, please subscribe, click on notifications, all that fun stuff. And we're just about everywhere. And I got a nice logo in front of each of our faces here, but we're just about anywhere. And if you can't find us where you find your stuff, let us know and we'll try to get on the spot where you find your stuff. Blue, let's go ahead and get right into it.
Absolutely. Einstein, a realist, believed that physical reality exists independently of observation, that quantum mechanics, in its current form, the Copenhagen interpretation, was incomplete, that there's a variational effect of something that's much more hyphenated through that when it goes through the quantum elevated term. Bohr, on the other hand, championed the Copenhagen interpretation, emphasizing the role of the observer and the probabilistic nature of quantum phenomena itself of a more accelerated rate. So when we dealt with the quantum revolution in the mid 1920s, occurring under the direction of both Einstein and Bohr, their post-revolutionary debates were about making sense of the change itself, making sense of the different outlets that what quantum mechanics can do, not just for mankind, but the world around it, and as well as space and the domains of space. Much more a higher understanding. So both Einstein and Schrodinger rejected Bohr's interpretation, though, which resulted in them creating some kind of conflict with each other. Renaissance casualty has been to a key feature of science previously to old quantum theory. So relatively trying to motivate something to a new type of quantum theory, put that type of perplexity on an altered visionary tactic. Feature of
Not for
general
nothing.
relativity.
Not for
Now,
nothing, but
but one thing is to determine. Go ahead.
no, the delay is killing me on this show, so I'm sorry. We're just gonna have to deal with it. We're up to a 5 second delay here, so just work with me here. But we're gonna push on, and I thank everybody for listening. Thank you for watching here. You have to be pretty smart to debate Einstein. I mean, I'm just saying, the guy's a pretty smart guy. You have to, I don't know. You have to be pretty smart. This poor guy must have been pretty smart, huh?
Yes, he dealt with quantum mechanics and physics, philosophies of science, elevated modes of effect through different types of sequencing and geometrics that run to the spatial dimensions. But they had things between each other that they did not see, that did not fare well to a type of physics that they rely upon. But they always, in a way, found something that they joined together on that worked and that accelerated that type of relativity during that time. And it brought a lot of sciences in for quantum mechanics too.
What do you think this is
Bohr's
healthy? I think
response, though, countering the arguments, asserted that quantum mechanics is a complete theory. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that I think debate is always healthy. I think when you have, and this goes to prove how bad we have it today. When people in power, people that are supposed to be the smartest people and leaders in this world, who people look at or lean to, they can't have a healthy debate. It goes to racist. It goes to sexist. It goes to whatever is the hot topic of the week, and this just goes to show with the correct discourse, the correct communication with each other, we can have a healthy debate about things, and two things can be right at the same time. Maybe they were both right on some things.
Well, although they disagreed on relativity sciences through quantum mechanics on certain terms and did not agree with certain individuals, they still stayed as good friends, and they enjoyed each other as friends. And they hung out, they did things, they maintained their code of ethics and their leadership protocols. But this is an understanding of a current code of ethics and leadership protocols here and now between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, especially them, to
Okay.
foil a plan that has been maintained to bring about a golden age is not going to help to bring that down. That's what. So to determine the cause of what they are doing now, especially kind of when it comes to someone wanting to expose about Epstein's Island and the other wanting to kind of just deport that individual, we need to step down from the little bits and pieces of arguments that we do have and get our priorities set in order. These two individuals are very important because they do have very high intellect when it comes to certain things and progressive mode when it comes to certain things. Maybe they have neural incapacity disorder upon wavelengths, but they can get over that. And it goes for even other leaders too in the countries and the planets of this world. See, if these two individuals, even though they have disagreements, they still stuck together, so can them. So can others.
I see on the notes here we're going to talk about the ISS, the International Space Station. What can you tell us?
Yes, the International Space Station. We already know that we have astronauts there. We have people doing scientific research, what you not, coming back and forth for other reasons, capacity code. But did you know that they use a dominating effect of crystals, even crystals that are unknown variables to humankind here on this current planet, and utilize them as for research and growth, for crystal growth research in the laboratories? Yes, there are vast amounts of crystals and unknown substances and elements that could potentially harm humankind unless they're purposed for a reason. So they have to maintain that out of that perimeter. There's also ones that humankind may be aware of. We may have to conclude that they are creating a development for innovating through certain elements, including radioactive elements for healing, sentimental reasons, as well as drug development, material science, radiation development. And what this do with these research facilities, they maintain studying and growth of the crystals.
Hmm. Tell me more about these crystals. Are they going to be? Is this a monumental breakthrough? Is this like, oh my gosh, this is going to change the world in a few years?
Well, they use a microgravity environment for crystal growth, protein crystal growth experimentation aimed at improving drug development and other technologies. So they're
Hmm.
using types of elements to help incubate that. Leveraging unique microgravity environment to produce a higher quality and be able to compare it to Earth-grown crystals. So the two different scenarios and seeing what would happen between those two different scenarios between space and Earth. The station's
Hmm.
control environment help make them pure and well ordered because we know we have a lot of biodegenerated substructures upon the Earth that makes people sick and even affects the plants, wildlife, substances, everything around it. They want a clean environment to see what they can utilize with this. They
No,
help ordaining, aiding in research on a higher advanced status quota for diseases, for cancer, Parkinson's, using an advanced type of development, so scientific research development for these crystals itself, even plutonium in a way, is utilized in a hyper advanced scientific maintenance speed for healing in certain types of equipment.
hmm. What is this related to those
So what
blue
microgravity does is help
stones?
reduces the convection and sedimentation resulting in crystals with fewer defects and creates a higher purity for them. Those are considered in inner Garthan or are considered something that was found. Now it's interesting because the tribe supposedly found it, and these stones had origins with extraterrestrial beings from the sky. So upon returning to Europe, Tony took their enigmatic rocks to a university for analysis. The findings revealed that the stones did not correspond to any known minerals on this planet. So yes, the technologies and implementations that they use for certain crystals in space do have extraterrestrial maintainment fields through it too, that they could potentially be helping and assisting for advancements of these technologies, advancements of rectifying things that are causing so many diseases and problems. There are certain crystals and stones that they're using for anti-gravity purposes or gravitational purposes, control the gravitational lines and the higher and lower field. Those as well that they utilize for glowing, for a glowing field. Certain types of stones or elements.
We're, we're going to talk about another stone here shortly. I know. Um,
And that there are inner worlds in the Agartha Rose planets, the Antarctica Wall, that have similar stones that glow.
All right. Apologies for the delay again, folks. Thank you for sticking with us here. We're going to push onward here and hopefully have the delay fixed by show's end or by next show. Tell me about the elixir of life. I looked at this and I'm like, I think I've seen this somewhere before.
It's a mythical substance, supposedly, that grants the drinker immortality and eternal youth. And believe it or not, this goes on to so many different outlets. You have no idea. In some versions, it cures diseases, common mythology, alchemy, folklore. Alchemy is a real thing, by the way. People there are alchemists out there. We're going to talk about that very soon, about a certain individual that kind of conjoins with this into the Philosopher's Stone. So, granting what this is, though, to the Elixir of Life, is a primary immortality mode and effective. The Vatican have a substantial node of proposing through a certain type of element that may be like this, that could hold their scenario streams longer. There are dominions through the archies and Is it the individual higher outlets of beings here, like kings and queens, if you will, or those that run on the higher domains, including Egypt, Atlantis? They had a similar element that prolonged their years. This element, if mixed, because I cannot give all the priority spheres away, it does have a symbology point of a celestial threading type of alloy, as well as liquid gold, liquid silver, and a liquid hyperalloy diamond. There are mixed sequencing bases to others as well, but I cannot permit to say. This is like a cure-all. You think about the fountain of youth or the pool. You go in there, it's just like liquid this, that, it heals you. Well, it is similar to that. But it is deprived of a certain element. And there's also a stone that can be made through that too. And held by a controversial power through alchemy.
I kind of know where
But when we're talking about liquid gold and we're going back to that, the meanings for it is a form achieved without heat. It's related to alchemical processes described. So, and it's pure in its radiant essence of an enlightened being. And it also has, these are all ancient, these are meanings that run onto liquid gold. Not regular liquid gold, you're going to melt gold, there it is, that's lit, no. Not that. This is not that same thing. It's different. This is actually liquid that stays liquid. Of gold, of silver, or those substances. The element's a bit different than the actual firm element.
Tell me about this
they're
Flamel
able to
guy.
utilize that in certain things into effect. Now, Nicholas Flamel, Harry Potter. Ever watch Harry Potter, the movie, with Nicholas Flamel in it, the Sorcerer's Stone, and the Sorcerer, or is the Philosopher's Stone. He is real. They hit him in plain sight, just like they went with other movies, other scenarios. He is an actual alchemist who dealt with the supposed Philosopher's Stone and the Elixir. Lived in the 14th and 15th centuries, famous for the legend he discovered in it, and achieving immortality. Claims the later fictional narrative, obviously, but supposedly not known for magical abilities during his lifetime. He was a scribe. He drafted legal documents, contracts. He worked as a bookseller, too. He was an alchemist and a creator of the Philosopher's Stone in legend, presumably. Developed much later, likely in the 17th century. So going way back, this goes way back when. And that created and incorporated a legend of Flamel into the Harry Potter series. If they pay attention to this movie, it kind of points out certain things going on. So, circated March 22nd, 1418. Him and his wife ran a school that also taught in trade. So he was a pretty well-known person. A lot of different things. He did hidden stuff too. I wouldn't be surprised if he had helped certain Vatican or other elites behind the scenes to assisting to this certain type of element or the philosophies that go into creating it for alchemy and even sciences that they are today. That it may have been hidden into that effect. This element, though, has been a lot older than him. So a proposed announcement of an entity making it as something of a substantial amount, but has been dominated years before him. Like I said, ancient Egypt, Atlantis. They had similar types of provisions. I do want to state one thing. I know it's not a part of this, but Egypt, because they kind of currently said this recently that they found out wasn't And I've even stated that too, that, how we go by the Bible and they had slaves there building it. It's not how it goes. They're finding other things now. And now they're starting to expose that turn too. But let me tell you, ancient Egypt did have to do with elixirs too. They had to deal with advanced sciences of health and elements of health. Now back to Nicholas Flamel, in his historical research that he's done and maintained. He contributed, the couple, they own several properties and contributed financially to churches. There you go, churches, hint, hint. So he does this one thing and it helped him create their wealth and philosophy. Lives into his 80s. And he actually designed his own tombstone, which was carved with the images of Jesus Christ. Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
St.
Yeah,
Peter
that's
and St.
interesting.
Paul. So people get
That's
into your
interesting to
history
me.
books. You may watch
That's
it in a
interesting.
movie here, but where did they get the hell this shit from? Sorry about my language, but where did they get it from? Where did they get it from?
And they hide it in plain sight. That's something we've always said here. Bring it through Hollywood. Take the less dramatic approach. Oh, I've seen this before. Oh, this must be real. There's some legitimacy because the people in Hollywood are talking about it. Give me a break. But I get it. I get it. And I know I like the exposure and I like us talking about it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, everybody. Blue, are we ready to head into the SCP?
Well, yeah. Well, there's one more thing I want to talk about between him and his wife, because they did a conjoining scenario with this between the Elixir of Life and the Philosopher's Stone. So, legendary accounts of most placed on 17th century works. The essence of his reputation claims he succeeded in the two goals of alchemy. He made the Philosopher's Stone, which turned base metals into gold, and that he and his wife, Perennial, achieved immortality through the Elixir of Life. So, there, right there, on its own, just would blow your mind, because there are very similar attributes to that going on, scattered across everywhere. If we're paying attention to what alchemy is, to what this is, to where it came from, where its originality come from, kind of like the phoenix rising from the ashes. The phoenix is an actual entity. It has celestial powers and abilities within its feathers that incubate some type of immortality or higher health rate, and as well as what it is.
All right.
Go ahead.
I, hey, I apologize for the delay again, folks. Thanks for sticking with us here. Let's move on to the SCP Foundation. What is SCP 2675?
Uh, 26675 is the Sibir, an Arctico class nuclear powered icebreaker constructed by the Soviet Union in 1977. Official records from the Russian Federation indicated that the Sibir was retired in 1992 due to a stream system malfunction. However, documents turned over by the GRUP reveals that the Sibir was lost during a mission in the Arctic Ocean, investigating a believed anomalous artifact. So, this certain ship, if you will, had turned an anomalous artifact. So it had become a paranormal entity. Its current appearance is significantly different than it was prior to 1992, so it has altered its appearance. The vessel may spontaneously change shape and produce additional structures, equipment, or weaponry, and has a pure glow observed to produce around its waters when it's in the area itself. This creates neutron radiation. So this type of entity can be a major problem because it vanishes and reappears in areas. So reports of maritime disasters and unusual incidences are to be monitored. They create anomaly effects and destroy things. They have caused civilian impact on certain occasions. So it would be considered a class keyer, especially with the proximity zone of the nuclear radiation that it emits as well.
And this is a hide it in plain sight type
And
scenario,
there is
like we've talked
supposedly a
about
discrete
before.
entity that is within its domain. And there has not been no crew or other personnel ever been observed on or inside of it. But those that have come into it has seen a potential entity.
Is this dangerous? Do I need to be
Yeah, and
worried?
it creates a teleportation effect upon its own code. So it can come and go. And we've talked in the past about how they have government experimentation with advanced technologies and how they can import and deport to certain areas instantaneously, messing with the. Well, it's hostile. It's extremely hostile and dangerous, and the nature remains speculative because it comes and goes as it wants. And it produces all these weapons and technologies on its perimeter speed that potentially has catalyzed issues in the past. And could, because it could be activated upon effect and jump from one perimeter into the other.
I like to watch TV sometimes, and sometimes I watch this show called What Happens on
It does
Skinwalker
mess with the
Ranch or
radio
something.
contact, it messes with electromagnetic frequency rise. It has a higher nucleic effect with it. And the technologies and or weaponized systems with it could be activated.
All right, let's move on to SCP-2750.
All right. The Navajo Skinwalkers. Now we kind of discussed about Skinwalkers before, but this is a collective description referring to a group of anomalous humanoids that are known to inhabit the southwest United States, specifically the regions of northwest Arizona and southwest Utah. What gets interesting is because they have a certain type of dominion where they're at, they also can closely resemble non-anomalous humans, like creatures, canines, dogs, cats, certain types of other animals. In the instances, they usually wear, when they do are humanoid in stature, have masks on them and wear clothing associated with the Navajo culture of the 1800s. These entities are coming and going, they're still there, but they're more of a growth feature or of effect of something that could use abilities that can change its appearance as well as they couldn't be mean. They're not really considered nice. They can shapeshift to animals. They are part of the culture. Some of them are kind of just an equilibrium term, meaning they just keep to their own because of their ecological terms that they go through their cultures are kind of insinuating in some type of higher providence that they hold. And we don't know about witchcraft form, the designs of it, and sometimes it's not a good thing. And it can affect even the creatures or persons itself. These itself, they just like to change appearances of animals. Now, what gets interesting is they do have instances in containment, and they're not allowed to change or not permitted to change their appearance for any reason. So those that they do have in containment, that they're withholding and they're getting information off of. Now, any changes in appearance, though, they kind of punished and revoked by certain privileges. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Kind of capture of the uncontained perimeters, I guess. But they do have a difficulty of capturing certain instances when it comes to the Foundation. So these entities are more or less, they're kind of old, ancient tribes of something of a different dominion altogether than humans. They're running on their own protocols. Kind of similar to Sasquatch and Bigfoot, they're different. Humanoid in a way. There are other entities, like the ones from, I can remember, the ones in the no-see-um, the ones that can't see from inside the caves we talked about through tribes before. A little different than humans. It's just it goes on to so many different variables.
Wow. Those things sound
They
kind of
are
scary.
real, and there are ancient tribes out there that have abilities and that use renowned abilities through the outer Garthan walls. Ancient races, ancient star races, as well as paranormal entities from the past. I mean,
Scary stuff.
if you think about the Native Americans were here before people started screwing shit up. What was here before them? We talked about stuff that had been in the Grand Canyon, I believe, in certain other areas that had to do with Egypt and artifacts. You gotta see me like this. Yeah, it may be scary, but they would be considered a Euclid because some of the entities might be more wild than the others, if you get what I mean, because of the way their that term is. So you kind of can't entirely trust them because you don't know where that's going to go. But you want to learn from them too, because they're an ancient tribe and they're able to transform into other creatures. They're able to use sciences that are much more advanced than people are understood of.
Let's go ahead and move on to the Space
People who
Force
don't
and
know
the
that I talked about
Federation and your
skinwalkers
positions
before. It's
there.
not the same thing as a skinwalker ranch. Or the other thing with the aliens and stuff and the other things and whatnot. Kind of similar, but these are the Vajos. They're natives. They're natives that have an ability to do something and maintain an ancient code and prophecy that others. Yes, alligator Alcatraz. So we know recently that Donald Trump had elevated him to putting this into effect, and it's been having issues, yes. But we, on my end of the term, I'm concerned. It should be either moved or it should utilize a better foundation from where it's at. Because even with immigrants, even with criminals, you have to make an equality term that's not going to create so much catastrophe and problems with others. Move it elsewhere, determine the effect that it makes the stability for those entities, but keeps them in one place. If they're too criminal, and if they're not, then move them and dedicate a term of effect for their countries and sectors. And eventually, this whole planet's going to have to get it together, anyways. They're going to consider their actions, what they're going to do with each other. I move back them to their own countries. But if you want to move them back to their own countries, see what those countries need help with, it may be determined that the whole entire planet and the elites on the planet could rectify a new understanding, a new law, a new party in order. So that way we're not having so much dominating negativity spread abroad. I know that's in the long run from now, but that's a consideration. And until then, we need to do something about that area. We need to do something about what they're doing with these people and make it a bit better. Because we just don't want more attacks. We want to make a golden age when I want to make things proper here. And that goes to Elon Musk now and his new political party. So, they have in their feuds and everything. And so he's kind of motivating it into like an American party type of deal. What consideration could be for is determining useful laws, proper propaganda, higher advanced technologies that were hidden and withheld, especially from humankind, that SpaceX, other corporations have, Pentagon, Area 51, whatever. And breeding in United Sovereign Nations of America in the stead of all this crap that's going on. And potentially maybe rectifying what they have done against each other and actually putting a plan together for that golden age. An undisturbed vision scenario is not going to help. We need to create a visionary scenario. We need to take that tactics into effect. Elon Musk has been given several types of extraterrestrial technologies from entities and corporations and dominions to help and advance mankind. He's withheld that until a time and it needs to come. Well, there needs to come that time soon. And then concludes the quantum medical bets on Donald Trump's side. We cannot do that, though, unless we have Big Pharma stand down to their perimeters, what they're doing. It all comes into what we can do next as leaders. What we can do. We can do this. Quantum mechanics as well. Quantum sciences. Elevated AI technological achievements. Reducing the amounts of nuclear waste and nuclear radioactivity on a semi-stream for missiles or other things that are bad, reducing them, taking them away, and instead utilizing them for something better for mankind. Gets the common sense in, and we can guarantee that every individual on this entire planet will be able to maintain their own code of ethics.
That's wonderful stuff there. Wait,
one more thing, NASA. We've been hearing about a mysterious object shooting through the solar system recently, right? And there has potentially been only a couple of these within so many amounts of timelines, but they zoom so fast and they're different. This isn't a comet. This is a celestial. It's not a comet. It's a celestial object that is actually messed with certain type of dimensional coding waves upon perimeters. And the visitational codes could be that this type of drive here, this interstellar object, it may just very well be something extraterrestrial altogether. Would it affect things? It might. We already know that there's an accelerated amount of weather phenomenon here in this world. We know that NOAA and HAARP plays negative roles on certain things. But just recently, that accelerated rate in certain areas and the timelines being disrupted, not all has to do with that too. And that there could be objects, there could be polarity scores, there could be the core itself moving in reverse and accelerating that are causing this. There are individuals in the military department, in the force, that are helping to rectify certain things that could go awry upon the planet.
Hmm. That's interesting stuff there. Let's go ahead and get into ET of the week if we can.
The Rabe, a very peaceful race. So these are a good race of ET. You know, ever watched the movie Coneheads? The kind of heads
Mm-hmm.
look a little similar to that in reposition. And they actually have entities in the Mayan civilization as well as other distributors that have found similar skulls to this in tombs. They tried to coexist with us in the past many times over. And according to the book, one's creating, just like I had said, through the Mayan civilizations. So there are tombs that hold these entities there. They've taken humans from different places on Earth and placed them in South America as well. So they kind of replicated seed. They have a very scientific temperament, though. So their temperament, they're taught. They're taught through the Mayans' astronomies and times, and potentially the Mayan civilizations themselves had used these higher entities of humanoids and conjoined with them through these types of timetables, through calendars, through learning of astronomy. They left supposedly the Mayans and the planet when the culture was at its highest in splendor. Here we go back to those trilateral platforms again, those pyramids in Mayan civilization. There, certain areas. We got the Giza platforms, and we talked about the Enke and Kari Gray race. They had Rolls hair, similar here to this area, but a different type. They had done sacrifices in these entities' names and offerings as well, and they have visited many times over after that. Supposedly, they come from Kapala, constellation from Aruga. They visited this in what was supposed 2001 in Bora Bora. They are still coordinating with governments currently. They are still working with other observers in timeline effects. Are they potentially a part of the Intergalactic Federation of Races? Yes. Are they cousins to the Anunnaki? Possibly. This I know. Are they relatively closer to humankind, meaning that there had been some type of mixed breeding at one time of another? Yes.
Hmm. It's crazy. Life imitating reality, like we talk about time and time again. They hide things in plain sight. And just like that, we are out of time. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. And hopefully you'll click like, subscribe. And as we continue to grow, we're new here to live on Rumble. Got a couple of quick little things, little quirky things we're trying to work out here, but I appreciate you hanging with us. Again, if we're not where you find your stuff, let us know and we'll get where you find your stuff. And by the way, you can go ahead and be part of the show. Look, I got some gear on. Blue's got some gear on, so by all means, you can be part of the show as well. Check the comments and everything. We do respond on the socials as well, so please, we look forward to seeing you again next time, and we look forward to the answering all your questions on the socials. Until next time, everybody, we'll see you.